and the storm begins to die as it moves towards northeast, but that may not be the case because the warm air continues to lift towards the north, and it looks like it's pretty warm and humid in Batesville. It looks like the dew point there is close to 70. The actual temperature in Batesville is 73, so still plenty warm and humid enough there for a tornado. And so we'll be tracking this area of rotation as it moves northeast, and I'm going to put the time on there so you can see it is moving very, very quickly, 55 miles per hour. And here we go with the storm track. This is headed northeast. It's first going through Independence County, and if it keeps up at its current pace, it's going to end up well into northeast Arkansas, but this is going to be at Cushman at 7:01. So here in just a few minutes, Cushman, it's time to make sure you're in your safe spot. Just a few minutes after that, Cave City at 7:14. If it holds together, it may track near Black Rock by 7:44. But again, that is way down the road. Looking just at the immediate short-term threat to Independence and, again, southern Sharp County. The area of rotation continues to be near the county line. That's the Stone Independence County line. A very similar track to the tornado that came through a couple weeks ago, or at least where the tornado began. So Cushman, along Highway, Arkansas Highway 69, Arkansas Highway 106, and then over towards Cave City. Get in your safe spot. If you're in Batesville right now, you're wondering about what your situation is, I can tell you the storm is moving off towards the northeast, so this does not look like it's going to impact you, but it is a pretty close call. Just towards the north of Batesville is where this thing is going to track, so if you have any doubts, head to your tornado safe spot. Sometimes storms do turn towards the right. It may actually be happening right now. It looks like a jog towards the east on the last scan. So maybe a good idea in Batesville to be in your tornado safe place as we watch this storm. And they don't always move straight northeast, though this one does look like it's going to be heading in the general direction of Cave City. It'll eventually cross over US 167. Barry.
All right, yeah, that is the storm in the state that does appear to have some ability to rotate with it right now. We'll be moving across Highway 69, and there's Highway 106, and it will continue to move off to the east. And as James mentioned, it appeared as though it was going to be moving up to the north of Batesville, but that last scan jogged a little off to the east, and it may be a sign of strengthening, although I don't think right now the velocity or the winds inside the storm are all that impressive. It's a long way from the radar site. There's definitely wind there, and so right there, we're going to see on Highway 14, we're going to see that little couplet, and it'll be moving in the direction that would take it perhaps very close to Cushman, but between Cushman and Batesville, and eventually it would be moving on up in a direction that would take it a little bit closer to Cave City. And there we can back out and show you that. Here's what the storm looks like. It is a storm that's out in advance of the other storms up there and riding that warm front boundary, which has imparted enough lift to prompt some storms to rotate. A few tornado warnings along the warm front that lifted up through here today. You know, we started out cool, lifted up into North Arkansas, and it will continue to move off to the northeast at a fairly rapid rate. Some of the other storms, there are still severe thunderstorm warnings out there from Marshall down to Clinton. There is a severe thunderstorm warning. Looking at velocity within that, there's just a lot of wind, I think, that'll be crossing the Highway 65 corridor between Marshall and Clinton. So that would be near Leslie in the southeastern part of Searcy County. And then we go back to southwest Arkansas, and there's just a big area of wind and a big shelf cloud, I think. I think I saw meteorologist Austin Burks looking at, and that, I laughed, but it's a big wind producer. It's just right now, I don't see anything that would indicate that it is a tornado producer at all, and that's the great news out of tonight. But I'll send it over to Austin a little bit. You had that picture, but for now, we're just going to take a look at all these storms in southwest Arkansas and headed down to west of Delight, down into Dirks and Nashville, and that whole area kind of in one big blob, but separate enough that they still have a supercell structure, and there could be some rotation within that. I will tell you, though, that if you're in the Hot Springs area, you're going to have some wind moving in there. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning both there and in Hot Springs Village, out over Lake Ouachita, Mountain Pine also. And but we continue to look at the tornado warned storm, and it may be taking on a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit more rotation there. Hard to tell a long way from the radar site, but you can see it right there to the southwest of Cushman. If you're in that area of Cushman and just to the south, please get into that safe spot, because it does look like that this has some ability to rotate as it moves off to the northeast. And we're going to continue to watch that storm. Just its presentation looks a little more ominous than it did just a few minutes ago, wrapping that rain around a circulation center as it moves off to the northeast. This is, generally speaking, I think going to be north of Batesville, but we're going to watch the southern extent of that. There's Batesville right there. So if you're on the north side of town, all the way up Highway 69 and headed up toward Cushman, that is where this storm will be going. And we'll continue to closely watch it. I'll put it into motion for you. We'll go back some frames and you can see it began to get a little bit more organized as it moved into that area. National Weather Service issues the warning, has that appendage that's hanging down on the bottom side of it, and it is way out in advance of the other storms back behind it. Those storms are kind of forming into a big area of rainfall and wind, for that matter. This is still out by itself. And the atmosphere is still really, really warm. And this, I think, is the boundary between some cooler air right up by the Missouri border and the warm air that has lifted all the way up to that point. Some of those storms then go up a little bit higher because they are in that environment, and then they can tap into some wind energy that is above. Don't want to lose perspective on all of this, but you can kind of see a large area of rain with individual storms that I think are starting to try to come together, and that's going to make for a big flooding threat as we head into the evening. I do want to show you that storm, though, the picture of it that is coming into Garland County, and that's the wind producer there with Austin.
Yeah, here's a look at that. This one was sent to us from Leanne Barksdale in between Glenwood and Bonnerdale up there around Highway 70. You can see that leading edge there of that shelf cloud, usually indicative of some stronger winds, and with that kind of greenish, bluish tint, usually meaning there is some hail with that as well. So that is very capable of producing some large hail and some strong winds. I got another picture as well sent to me from my mother that lives out in that area as well. I'll try to get that image here in just a minute. But also I've been watching the potential for power outages out from this storm since it is capable of producing some gusty winds. Maybe around 70 people out in Hot Spring County there on that western side, tracking some very small amounts of power outages there in Garland County. Montgomery County just under 50 power outages there. So sporadic, small amounts of power outages, likely maybe from either lightning or either from these strong gusty winds. But we're still tracking that storm as it moves off towards the east-northeast, as well as that, I believe, tornado-warned storm up towards areas of around, was it Independence County?
Yeah, it's coming up on Cushman, and if you're in Cushman, been saying it, you've got to be in a tornado-safe place. Did get a report that there's possibly a tornado down. I can't confirm that with radar, but the rotation is very strong, and it's near Bethesda and the quarry, and it's headed up in the direction of Cushman now. And it is, I'll give you a couple of streets where the rotation is at its strongest, and that's a pretty strong couplet there that is in Bethesda, and it's coming up on Arkansas Highway 106. It's going to be coming up on Big Spring Mill, where 106 impacts or comes up on 69 and on the south side of Cushman. So if you are anywhere in these areas, I know we just dealt with this a few weeks ago, and it's the last thing you want to see, but this storm is moving off towards the northeast. It's not going to be around long. Hopefully it's not a tornado that's going to get down and stay down, if indeed we have one that is confirmed. Cave City, you're in the same boat. I know the recovery efforts are ongoing from 3 weeks ago, but we've got to get back into tornado shelters as this moves off towards the northeast. Again, it's a pretty mature supercell that we've got here, and we have, unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, we were able to look and confirm there's a tornado, and when we can do that in this part of the state, we know that debris is being lofted up to 10,000 plus feet. I don't have a debris signature on radar here, so hopefully that continues. I want everybody to take this seriously, though. Strong rotation continues. This is just to the south of Cushman. And the bottom end of this storm where you would have the tornado is right here off 106, coming up on 69, moving towards the northeast. This is going to stay towards the north of Batesville and eventually take it up towards Cave City, again crossing 167, where we had that storm cross just a couple of weeks ago. Looks like, and I'm going to pull up, I've got a chaser feed here. I don't have it for on air, but I'm going to look at the chaser feed to, looks like, and I've got a friend in the area as well, a storm chaser that's in the area, and we are looking
Austin, you're getting some information.
for confirmation, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a picture on social media from a storm chaser that did have a picture of a tornado just outside of the Batesville area. So with that Cushman storm there around Highway 69, not sure of his exact location, but there was, it looked like a picture confirmation of a tornado that was on the ground. Not sure if it still is, but
So it looks like Reed Timmer's on the storm.
yes.
Yeah, and that's between Cushman and Batesville up 69, just to the northwest of Batesville, it would appear.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and assume that we've got a tornado down. They had a really clear view of the storm to the west when they stopped. It looks like a very low-hanging wall cloud and wall cloud there. Looks like the storm is very well put together.
I believe it's right there on that warm front, that boundary there.
Mm-hmm. So, with all that information that we are gathering from chasers that are in the field, we want you to be in your tornado safe spot. If you're in Cushman, it doesn't take much to get a tornado along the warm front, and we may have that. Coming up on Big Spring Mill, Cushman, right along Highway 69. This is going to be moving northeast eventually towards Cave City, but this is where we're looking this time. Very close to the tornado path that we had just a few weeks ago. Of course, this is the last thing you want to see, but hopefully, this is not going to be one that gets down and stays down for a long period of time. Just got another report to Austin. Looks like there's some rotation they're starting to watch down in Garland County, but with the threat to Cushman and Cave City, we'll stay with this for the next few moments until this threat ends. Looks like we still have pretty strong rotation here. It looks like, to me, that if you're in Cushman, you got to stay in your safe place, but Cushman and just south of Cushman is the highest threat right now. Still, we're tracking through the northern section of Independence County, so we do have some terrain through here, but then we come out towards Cave City along 167. Now, with the way the supercell looks, I think there's probably a pretty good view off towards, if you were looking back towards the southwest, I think you'd probably be able to see at the base of the storm. The sun hasn't quite yet set, so there's probably a good view back towards that very low hanging wall cloud. We don't have any chasers in this area like we did earlier down towards the south. But also, Austin, as this continues towards the northeast, it is going to get onto the cool side of the boundary. So it's very warm in Batesville, but somewhere in here it's going to cross over, limiting that tornado threat. Let's hope that happens very soon. Cushman, Cave City, even up towards Sydney and Evening Shade, tornado safe spots right now, and this will be over hopefully within the next 20 minutes, and hopefully this rotation stays aloft, and we'll have not a repeat of a couple of weeks ago.
All right, I've got a picture of our weather cam from Hot Springs looking back to the southwest, and there you can see that mature thunderstorm and a wall of water coming down Lake Hamilton from the southwest there, and there was maybe some indication of some very broad rotation. I don't see anything that's really tight, but that's quite a storm coming into Hot Springs right there. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, and that is the leading edge of it. So we're going to take a quick look at that, not forgetting about the Cushman area and north of Batesville, but I think we're going to, lost my ability to, here we go.
I think there's some rotation developing north of Murfreesboro.
Yeah, there are those two storms down there that we're watching, and I'm going to go down to those. Just the leading edge of those. That's why we said, hey, they're coming into an environment that's very conducive to possible tornado development, and so we'll watch with the velocity product on both of those storms. A lot of wind in the Pike County one there east of Murfreesboro. And then the storm that's coming into Hot Springs. Little appendage hanging down there. No obvious sign of rotation, but maybe trying. It's certainly windy and it's rainy, as I showed you there. So we're going to keep a close watch on you in Hot Springs. And you are severe thunderstorm warned. So I would say go into the lowest spot in your house, get away from the walls and the windows there, and we'll see if there is any rotation that develops. And obviously, we're going to be all over that storm watching it and the storm that is down into Pike County. Velocity-wise, yeah, well, we're just going to watch. Still, though, going back up into northeast Arkansas.
I'm watching Reed Timmer's feed, and it's a well-built supercell. I mean, it looks good. Just looking at it from the distance, that's very strong rotation there, going through Cushman and coming up on Sandtown and Sandtown Road. And I'm watching his stream area, just trying to get confirmation of anything that is down. But we want you all to be in your tornado-safe spots.
Yeah, you're in a tornado warning tonight. Just go ahead and do that. The latest, yeah, there is definitely some rotation there east of Cushman, heading up toward Cave City and Highway 230 and Sandtown.
It continues to move off towards the northeast. Hopefully will continue to weaken as it moves towards the northeast. But Sydney, Arkansas Highway 58 over to 167, Cave City, safe places. The interior room of your house, there's a safe room at the Cave City Elementary and Hillcrest Baptist basements that it looks like are packed from that I'm reading from National Weather Service chat. So people are getting to shelters in Cave City. Still have the strong rotation as it moves off towards the northeast. Is moving at 55 miles per hour. So as fast as that is moving, this is going to be on you very quickly. And just within a matter of moments from the warning being issued, about 9 minutes later, it went through Cushman. And now, here over the course of the next 10 minutes, it's going to cross over 167 and go through the Cave City area. I think with the way this storm is structured, and with it not being sunset yet, there's going to be a very low-hanging base to this storm, low-hanging wall cloud, and you're going to have maybe a tornado try to form at the base of that storm. That's how these have looked so far today. And there's Sandtown Road. That's where the rotation is, and this is quickly coming up upon Cave City. We're getting very close to the northeastern edge of the radar range at Little Rock. So I will just try to give it a quick look from the Memphis radar. It looks a whole lot less impressive, but it is still there, even looking as far away as Memphis. So,
yeah, definitely, I think something there. Southwest of Cave City, and even if there's not, let's get into the safe spaces. I know we've received word that the tornado safe shelters in Cave City. A lot of people have taken advantage of getting into that shelter, and boy, given what has happened there and along that path between Cushman and Cave City, we cannot blame you, and we're glad you're doing that. I don't know that this looks exactly like it did back on March 14th, but I tell you what. Let's be safe rather than sorry. You're in a tornado warning, and it won't take long. Just go to that safe spot in your home, and we'll continue to watch it. It is all out by itself. You can see east of the whole area that is much more congested with clouds and rain. This is a supercell out in advance of it. And again, it'll be moving up through that Cave City area just in short order here, moving very fast. I didn't get all the details on it. But we're watching that storm. We're also watching the storm along Highway 65. That is severe thunderstorm warned. There's wind there moving toward small community of Flag. And in southwest Arkansas into Garland County, we're going to be watching these two storms. A lot of wind for
Barry,
you folks coming into Hot Springs.
There might be some decent rotation south of Glenwood now towards the
there it
Amity
is.
area.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and show that on. Yeah, definitely. There it is right there. We're talking about Amity. There's Glenwood. And we're starting to see that winds going away from toward the radar site and away from the radar site there out into Pike County. And I'm sure the National Weather Service is watching that. It's kind of on the north edge of a curved band of heavy wind, so it may be just a very brief rotation, but there you can see the bowed out area, and on the north edge of that, out to the west of Amity. So Amity, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go ahead and get into that interior part of your house, lowest floor of your house, and as we watch and let the National Weather Service talk about that. But I would say that there is a lot of wind energy there, and it looks like some wind trying to come back toward the radar site and away. So we're going to watch on the south edge of that storm, leading edge of that storm rather, for the possibility that that could be rotating. The one of more concern, I would say right now, is the Cave City storm, and it's a long way from the radar site. Let's look at that storm if we can.
They're getting a couple of reports of, it looks like, some possible touchdowns there back towards Cushman.
Okay. Yeah, out to the west, out to the west of town. It went very close to Cushman, and now there's the inbound, there's the outbound winds, and there's Cave City right there, and Highway 230 running along here. It'll cross Highway 167 as it moves through the Cave City area. But you're in a tornado warning. Let's go ahead and get into that spot in your home that is the safest. You get as many barriers between you and the outside walls as you can, and you certainly improve your chances of coming away unscathed in a tornado, especially if it's not a large tornado. We don't know the size of it. It's a long way from the radar side, as we've said, but let's take the precaution of just getting into that safe spot, Cave City, and all along Highway 167 as this whole storm will track right across the area. I know that's a hard thing for a lot of you. That was just, 3 weeks ago that you had the large tornado that moved through there. But this is something that we're going to occasionally see. And on a night like this, any of these storms, and one happened to form there, any of these storms do have that tornado potential, it appears, for tonight.
Barry, I'll go over some streets here at the street level. The rotation is near Sandtown Road. Coming into Sandtown, it looks like it is going to be in the area of Skyview Lane as well, and then up towards Pebble Trail, Cold Creek Lane, and Arrowhead Lane. This is on the west side of Cave City, and the rotation, just looking at it from radar, doesn't look as good as it did 5 minutes ago. But again, it's an atmosphere that we know can produce tornadoes with storms like this. So stay in those safe spots: Hickory Valley, Sandtown, Cave City, Maxville, Sidney. All remain in a safe spot. You know, this is the type of night where, as we go forward with time, deeper into the night, we start to lose instability, we start to lose heating, we start to lose ingredients for tornadoes. So I think we're coming up on the end of when we expect that peak threat to kind of lessen a little bit. To my knowledge, there haven't been very many tornado reports today here in Arkansas, if any. Lots of funnel clouds. Tornado reports, though, few and far between, and that's been a great thing. The storms that have rotated have not produced tornadoes just yet, unless we have one just southwest of Cushman, which we do have a couple of reports. So Sandtown, Cave City, Hickory Valley, Maxville, along 167 continue to remain sheltered. I've been watching a video feed of some chasers coming through. That's Batesville, and my goodness, guys, this supercell probably looks as menacing as a storm as I've seen in Arkansas. I mean, it's got a very low-hanging base, very tough to see underneath that base. But if there's going to be a tornado, we have. I mean, it could be down from earlier, so it was probably difficult to see there at the base of all that. Still right along Sandtown Road. We're waiting on some extra radar scans to come in here. I'm going to read through some. Looks like I'm looking at a. Looks like we're looking at a new tornado warning, Barry, down in
it's going to be
Pike
for the
County.
Amity storm, and I'm. Are you looking
All
at
right,
that?
so the Arkansas State Police, before we go to that storm, is reporting damage on Claxton Loop and Cushman. So we do have some damage that's back towards the southwest in Cushman. So Cave City, this storm has a history of producing damage. Let's remain in our safe spot. This is getting very close to Pebble Trail and coming up on 167.
Yeah, be in that safe spot in your home. Let's take a look at the storm. Two storms, one coming into Hot Springs, one now tornado warned, and it's at the north edge of this area that is bowing out all the way from Delight up to Glenwood. And that little notch right there does have, it had some wind with it, and there wasn't much of an inbound component of this, but now it looks like it's really tightening up. And there's wind going away from, and the radar site right there. It's on the southeast side of Glenwood. If you're along the highway there, Highway 8, it appears. I'll go in very close. And this is between Glenwood and Amity. That has really tightened up in just the last few frames. There's Highway 182. Here's Highway 70. So it's going to be kind of paralleling it off to the northeast and eventually moving up into Garland County and Montgomery County and Garland County. This is where all these counties come together here. So Pike County, that is Hot Spring County as well. Clark County, rather. Clark, Hot Spring, Montgomery, and eventually up into Garland County. This is Highway 70. This is Glenwood. If you're anywhere in Glenwood, down to Amity, get into that safe spot in your house. And it just looks like that has really ramped up just in the last couple of scans that has gone on there. You can see that little notch coming in. So anywhere within there, and I'm going to go a little bit tighter on it. We've not forgotten about you, Cave City. We know that there's damage along that, but the small community of Rossboro Loop, Hollyfield Road, Highway 182 over to the east, Wood Duck Lane right here. There's a Cantrell Road, not in Little Rock, but out into the northern part of the county there, and that is out to the west of the highway there, of Highway 8. That is where the circulation is. Please get into that safe spot where those colors are coming together right there. A tight couplet, it'll be moving off to the northeast. And I'm going to give you just a little more perspective on where that is. It'll be going into northern Clark County, into the western part of Hot Spring County, and eventually up into the southern part of Garland County. That is a tornado warning that will be paralleling Highway 70 there. Other storms down to the southwest. James, you still watching the storm then up into northeastern Arkansas?
Yeah, still watching that very carefully. The rotation has weakened a little bit as it approaches Cave City, but we still want everyone to remain sheltered. Claxton Loop there, if I'm looking at the map correctly, it's on the east side of Cushman. That's where some damage was reported right as this kind of pulsed up. And then the rotation that we're looking at from the Little Rock radar, not as strong, but it is still there on the west side of Cave City now. And so we just called out Pebble Beach Trail. This is now looks like just getting towards your north. Everybody remains sheltered in place until we can verify, hey, there's nothing on the ground. There's no more damage being done. But it does look like we had a tornado touchdown there. Unfortunately, in one of our harder hit towns that we have had that was hit by a tornado just 3 weeks ago. But this time, Cave City, hopefully this tornado will have lifted by the time it gets to you. This actually is kind of taking a northeasterly trajectory. It may be going just to the northwest of town, and it's coming up, crossing between Sidney and Cave City, really putting it right in the vicinity of Maxville. And I'll try to zoom in here and get a better look at the streets there. You see there's the Cave City, there's County Line, and then up here towards Maxville, we have quite a few streets that we can go over here, I think. Let's off 167. So the Weather Service just upgraded that tornado warning to that purple polygon. That's because they've confirmed tornado damage with this, so it just kind of gives you a little bit of and extra knowledge to know that this storm has a history of producing tornadoes. I've got to seek shelter. Austin.
Yeah, we're still tracking that rotation there in areas of northeast Pike County, just to the southeast of Glenwood there near the Amity area. We've been watching this the last couple of scans. This is tornado warned just to the north of Amity and Highway 8. We'll take a look at velocity there, the winds and the storms. And you can see there is a little tight couplet here. We'll kind of circle it here with the mouse in between Glenwood and Amity around Highway 8. I believe this is up towards the Caddo River area. And look, here's the latest scan. This is good news. It's starting to become a little more wind-driven rather than rotation. So that's good news. We'll continue to see if that's going to be the trend here for the next couple of minutes. But just a minute ago, you can see how kind of it really tightened up quickly here just near Amity in the last 15 to 20 minutes as it approached Amity, and then quickly it kind of winded itself out. So we're still watching maybe some high wind potential and maybe a tornado potential as well, moving up closer towards the Bonnerdale area around Highway 70. This tornado warning stretches all the way towards southwestern areas of Garland County, including Piercy, all the way up towards Crystal Springs, Sunshine, Royal, those locations under this tornado warning. But the main concern, I think, just in the latest scan, is going to be the possibility of some very strong winds with this. But it kind of shows you the environment we're having tonight. We can have a quick spin-up tornado, even with just a severe thunderstorm warning like this was. This wasn't even tornado warned until a couple scans later when it could have possibly had a tornado for 2 or 3 minutes. So even if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning this evening, just get in the most interior part of your home, away from walls, and pay close attention to radar, or listen to us on social media. We're live on Facebook and other social media elements as well as online, so we'll continue to watch this. I was watching there on the debris tracker and didn't really see any debris signatures there. The correlation coefficient, we call it, to kind of separate the rain and the debris there. Just didn't really see any evidence that this was a tornado on the ground, but still doesn't mean you need to treat it as such. So I think more wind driven right now with this storm, but it's still sliding off towards the kind of the middle part there of western Hot Spring County, northwest of Bismarck and towards Piercy and those locations. Likely going to see some hail with that. Barry, don't know, you see any other storms there worth mentioning, keeping an eye on?
Well, I think it's important to note that as we look into southwest Arkansas, taking the radar returns off there are a number of severe thunderstorm warnings there, kind of in a group now. The one tornado warned area, which I think was a little notch within a big wind area. And that's all to the southwest of Little Rock and Benton and Bryan and Sheridan. So we're not out of the woods as far as this is concerned, folks. It's just 7:24 in the evening. So we're going to have to watch all of these storms and the leading edge of them for little indentations within these storms as they move. And that will become the primary threat. If you get supercells that aren't all out by themselves, then you see more of a wind threat, but that can be punctuated by a tornado threat, or at least maybe a short-lived one. And I think as Austin was looking at right there, we saw a tight rotation at that storm around Highway 70, and now I don't see as much of a tight rotation, but I see a big area of wind, a broad area paralleling and just to the south of Highway 70 that has some real wind with it. Now, we're going to just watch little areas out in advance of it. It's still tornado warned, so if you're in along Highway 182, along Highway 70, go ahead and get into that safe spot now. It's not that big an inconvenience. It's not going to be there for very long. And you don't want to be out next to outside windows and glass anyway, even if it's just a high wind event. They have now issued a severe, they've extended that severe thunderstorm warning, I guess, on out in advance of that. But you can see from Hot Springs Village down to Hot Springs, a big bowed out area, and that's going to be some strong and gusty winds. And with all the rain that we've had, I think this is something else that we need to mention. With all the rain that we've had, the ground is soft, and winds of less than 60 miles per hour, less than severe strength, can push over trees if you get a 50 or 55 mile per hour gust in a couple of favored spots. So that's something that we're going to have to watch very closely, the velocity on these storms, and do we see any of those tight couplets. Still, it's a tornado warned area, and we're going to watch the leading edge of that, Highway 84 right there. This is Highway 70, so down to the south. We're just going to watch this area for a little while longer and see if we see any further weakening. But for now, let's just assume that this is possibly a tornado-producing storm, even if it's a small one. James?
All right, we got some reports of power flashes in the Cave City area, so perhaps that tornado did stay on the ground as it marched towards Cave City, the far northern section of Independence County and southern Sharp County there. Now the circulation is on the other side of 167, and it continues to move off towards the east. I tell you, the rotation doesn't look super impressive on radar, but it's riding a warm front, and there's a good chance that we did have tornado down for at least a few minutes, if not longer. The Arkansas State Police reporting tornado damage in Cushman off Claxton Loop. The Weather Service will have to survey, and hopefully the damage isn't that bad. I mean, 3 weeks ago we saw whole houses getting swept away. We saw that on Wednesday. What you hope for is a weak tornado that just pushed some trees down, but we don't know the extent of the damage just yet. 167 runs right here from Cave City to Evening Shade, and we're moving off towards the northeast, deeper into Sharp County. This warning is only in effect for 3 more minutes. Just got another report. There's nothing on the ground in Cave City, so it would be up towards the north if there was anything. And I think with the weakening rotation, I'll let you look at it over the course of its life. Really was a lot stronger on the east side of Cushman, and then it began to fall apart. And there's a good chance that they're going to let this tornado warning expire and not reissue it, extending out into Sharp County. But the danger has now passed for Cushman. The danger has now passed for Cave City, Batesville. There's no threat to you currently. So I'm going to clear some of you guys from the threat. This storm is now just to the southeast of Evening Shade. And really the other storms that are out here in North Arkansas, they're mainly heavy rain producers. The only other severe threat is down in the southwest part of the state with the storms that are coming into Little Rock. This one tornado that we have had near Cushman, I think the storm's about to move on to the colder side of the boundary. All right, guys, I got a live report coming here from a storm chaser. This is storm chaser Craig Tillison. Craig, you are live on air, my friend.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, the supercell just went right over Cave City, which, as we know, was ravaged recently by a tornado. That's a pretty strong rear flank side as it moves to the northeast. But overall, there was a lowering. I saw a wall cloud. I can confirm that there was no funnel.
Hey, we appreciate the ground truth. It looks like there was a report of some damage in Cushman, further towards the southwest. But were you coming in from the north into Cave City?
I was coming into Cave City from the northwest. I was in the town of, I believe, Sydney.
Yeah.
And I was kind of viewing it from there, but to Cave City, and that's when the supercell just passed through. I'm currently heading northeast, trying to stay out in front of the storm.
Yeah.
However, it looks like it is weakening a little bit, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's what it looks like on radar to us. That is from storm chaser Craig Tillison, a good friend of mine from Mississippi State, a meteorologist from the eastern United States, here to Chase in Arkansas today. The tornado warning has now been canceled, and we just got ground truth from a storm chaser. He didn't see a funnel come through Cave City. Perhaps the tornado damage was limited to, unfortunately, only Cushman, with the at least some damage on Claxon Loop. We do not know the extent of that damage. Looking at North Arkansas, we're hoping that the supercell threat is beginning to wane here as we come up on 8 o'clock. We felt like this threat, the significant tornado threat, would not continue a whole lot farther past 8 or 9. The main threat right now is down in southwest Arkansas.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick look at that storm. It is still tornado warned out to the west of Bismarck, south of Highway 70, and for now there's a lot of wind along this, but I will tell you that there is one little spot that looks like it's trying to rotate, and that is, we're going to zoom right in. This is west of Bismarck, so this is that far western part of Hot Spring County, and it's just a weak rotation toward and away from as it comes out of Pike County, and then it will be moving on up into Garland County in just a little bit. This is kind of at the southern end of this tornado warning, but it's a big bowed out area, and I think this is just one little notch that's there that could accentuate the wind some. Could have a brief tornado, but there's whether or not it's a weak tornado or a brief gust of wind to 75 or 80 miles per hour does the same damage. But sometimes you can get an accentuation of the wind in a small little area, especially on the north edge of kind of that backward sea that is a wind-producing storm. And radar-wise, you can kind of see that little notch going right in there. It's just south of Highway 70. There's Highway 84 right there. And that will be paralleling Highway 74 as it moves on up into southwestern Garland County. And you folks on the other side of the county line there into Garland County are under a tornado warning for now. National Weather Service is still watching that storm. But velocity-wise, we're just waiting on a new scan there. And for now, anyway, it's a little ways away from Hot Springs. Hot Springs, you're getting on the north side of town, getting a lot of heavy rain, but we're just watching this tail end of it. And if we see anything more, we're going to, we'll be telling you about it, obviously, but you're still under that tornado warning because of a little bit of a tightening just a little bit earlier on the tail end of that storm. We're not sure if it's a tornado on the ground, but in that corridor right there, let's go ahead and get into that safe spot, the interior of your house, lowest floor of your house as well, because it could, as it did up in northeast Arkansas, it could briefly produce a tornado, even if it's not a long track one. But the reflectivity product still has some wind there along Amity Road, small community of Oma, Lofton, Highway 347, right in there, and you are in a tornado warned area. I'll broaden the view some because Hot Springs, you're eventually near the path of this storm. There are other storms, though, that are down to the south. And look, I think these storms, they're starting to compete with somewhat with one another. And I think we'll see that trend continue as we head into the evening hours. But they still have somewhat of integrity on their own, kind of out by themselves. And there's still not much happening out in advance of it. So warm, humid air is able to flow in. They need that warm, humid air. And if they don't have much competition, they can produce a tornado.
They just let the warning go. So we do
up
not
in northeast
have,
Arkansas?
No, right now we do not have any warnings in the state.
Yeah, no tornado warnings at all. Okay, well that is great news. And apparently that storm in northeast Arkansas, it got right along the warm front. It did produce, and we've had confirmation of that with damage. And now it is not. And I'll just back out and show you that, yeah, that storm has really, really weakened a lot as it moves over toward Lawrence County and out of that area. So you folks up in North Arkansas, I know you're weary of severe weather. I know we all are weary of it, but you particularly are. And so hopefully that was a brief touchdown with a brief amount of damage and a smaller amount of damage. Look at all the rain that's just lining up there. No severe thunderstorm warnings along this. And I think this is really going to turn into a big flooding threat. Think about the higher elevations, the mountainous terrain of North Arkansas with heavy, heavy rainfall coming down, and it kind of tilts over on its side so that the same showers and storms move along that same area, that train over the same area. And I think flooding is going to be a real threat because the ground is pretty saturated in most areas of the state. I know we've been dry, but recently with the rain, and then a lot more rain in some areas. And that axis, I think, will move down into central Arkansas a little bit later on as these storms coming out of southwest Arkansas begin to kind of lose their forward momentum and begin to tilt over and just line up through this central part of the state, including into the Little Rock area. Where that heaviest axis of moisture is, we aren't completely sure, but we are completely sure that there's going to be heavy rainfall and just very heavy rainfall, lightning and thunder with these storms once the tornado threat really starts to go away. We're not there, though, as of yet, but hopefully that we begin to transition to that instead of the severe threat. We trade one for the other, though, I'm afraid, in this instance here. We're looking for more of your pictures. If you have video or images sent to us at katv.com/chime-in or from the KATV app, you go, you open it up, and at the top left there are 3 lines. Hit that, scroll down, you'll see chime in, and you upload video or images from your phone. James?
Well, I just want to say, I think that every hour we go here, the significant tornado threat continues to drop. It's not exactly how I thought the day would go, but I'm happy that this is the direction that we are heading. We had a window between 4 and 8 to see some supercells move through and produce big tornadoes, and that has not happened. We got storms out there. There is severe weather. One thing to note, and I've already seen a few pictures of this, with high winds moving into the metro area, the ground is pretty saturated. I think trees will go down just a little bit easier than they otherwise would. This really is going to become a flash flood situation tonight. The storms, the forward momentum already seems to be slowing down. We think this band of heavy rain sets up from west central into central and maybe parts of north central Arkansas, where extremely heavy rain is expected tonight into Saturday morning. Now, we're not completely done with severe weather. We could see an isolated severe storm, even an isolated tornado overnight. But for right now, the tornado threat, I think, is lowering. And we're seeing no tornado warnings in the state as of 7:37 p.m. And the 3 severe thunderstorm warnings you're looking at right there include Hot Springs. It includes Arkadelphia, Lake DeGray, Hope, Texarkana. Those are where the most severe storms in the state are, at least at this point. I do want to show you, I've shown it a couple of times, and I want to explain it. As we get heavy rain tonight and as the heavy band of rain sets up, and I just see another ham radio report. It looks like Independence County Sheriff's Office. They're looking for tornado damage. They have not found any yet. That's good news, especially if that were to be the case in Cushman. We'll continue to update you on that. Tonight, there's that band of rain. It doesn't just advance all the way through the state like it normally would. It's going to stall right along I-30 into central and northeast Arkansas. That's where we could end up with 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain just tonight on top of what has already fallen. I do think this could maybe stall a little bit to the west, maybe a little bit further to the east, but that's going to continue tonight into tomorrow, so there's going to be some big flash flooding problems with that. And that is really what I think we are starting to transition to, not to discount the high wind threat and the threat of a continued isolated tornado. But Barry, I'm satisfied with the way this has gone. Given the grim outlook that was presented in the data all day long, and even in the morning sounding, the afternoon sounding, measured, did not look good after looking at, and feeling the air outside.
No, it didn't look good at all, and and we're not done. We're going to underscore that, but the threat should start to diminish as we head into the evening. I'll tell you what. A lot of times we look back on events and we say, oh man, that could have been so much worse. And we are not done with it. I will tell you that. But I will tell you that I think we are coming out of that most unstable time of the day. But I'm going to go over this before we have no tornado warnings in the state, so we're going to go back to programming in just a little bit. I will tell you, though, that we're going to watch all of these backward sea areas. Look at that. All the way from Casa, southwestern Perry County, down to Hot Springs Village, and back down to the west of Hot Springs. That's a bowed-out area of wind. It'll start to have some wind with it. We'll look at the velocity product on that, and it will show, just some areas of gusty winds. Again, could push some trees over, even if it doesn't reach severe limits, but it is severe thunderstorm warned, as all of these storms will be for a while. You go on down south of there, you've got another area coming into Hot Springs. We've been talking about this one. No tornado warning on that again, but it's approaching Hot Springs from the southwest out to Lake Hamilton High School, Piercy out here, getting gusty winds and heavy, heavy rainfall, severe thunderstorm warning there. I again see no obvious signs of rotation with that storm, but on the leading edge of it, I think there are going to be some really gusty winds, and we're going to keep a close watch on that. But I will just tell you, in Hot Springs, we do see those storms coming in. And then lining up down into southwest Arkansas all the way down to Texarkana. This is growing into more of an area that has just a lot of activity, and these storms are starting to compete with one another somewhat. And for the wind threat, that's a good thing. For the rain threat, it's going to be some pounding rainfall. As there are no tornado warnings in the state right now, and we're going to watch these again out to the southwest, but no tornado warnings within the state. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be here. We're going to follow all of these storms. Send us your images, your video to KATV.com/chime-in or upload via the KATV app. We're going to have a lot more on what will transition to a flooding threat. And it won't be just during the evening. It'll be overnight. It'll be into the day tomorrow. We could even see some thunderstorms tomorrow. We'll have all of that coming up at 10 o'clock. But we will be here, and at a moment's notice, if there's any rotation, we're going to be right back on the air. For now, we're going to send you back to programming, and we're going to be right here keeping an eye on it.